Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Let's chat with Google Bard regarding large language models like itself and ChatGPT. My first question. Can you tell me a list of countries that have banned ChatGPT? Out of the entire list, Italy caught my attention. The reason why Italy caught my attention is that the Europeans have stricter privacy laws compared to the United States. Also, China, for example, has censored it. You can ask Bard about the status of ChatGPT in a specific country. From what I have understood, it's unavailable either due to sanctions, censorship by the government, or a genuine concern from the government, which leads to a ban. Remember, Bard will answer accurately if your questions are accurate and precise. Bard acts really weird sometimes, so if you are used to ChatGPT, there is a different learning curve for Bard. Also, I could not get most of the answers from ChatGPT. I saw Bard was more honest and critical even when asked about itself. Hence for this video, everything is asked and answered with Bard. Moving on, I wanted to understand what happened exactly with Italy and the ban. Is ChatGPT still banned in Italy? And now we learn that the ban was lifted. This was after OpenAI cooperated with the government with their concerns regarding how it collects users' data. And we see these with European countries all the time, even with Google, not with Bard, but with their Play Store apps, search, etc. So, giving users more control, having the ability to opt out, and implementing age verification measures to protect children from harm. The problem for me is they won't apply this like any other company across the entire globe. Each country or region has its own requirements, and it will stick to the minimum that legally allows them to operate there. Improving the way it handles inaccurate or harmful information. This, for example, is very country subjective to each country. I asked, can you tell me the country's concern regarding ChatGPT? If any, specifically ones in Europe. So Italy's issues, we were already aware of. It listed Spain, France, and Germany. I am sure there are more countries. But from what I understand is that the issues are the same. So let's focus on that. So the main issue that I believe all European nations, including the USA, would have is ChatGPT is trained on a massive dataset of text and code, which includes a significant amount of personal data. There are concerns that OpenAI could use this data for unauthorized purposes, such as targeted advertising or identity theft. So is Bard. ChatGPT and Bard are large language models, where they train them with millions or trillions of datasets for it to be able to give human-like answers. Bard may disagree on the accuracy and numbers and say it's superior or at the same level. I can tell you my experience. If you compare ChatGPT 3.5 to Bard, the clear winner is Bard, but it's no match for ChatGPT 4 with web beta access. This is my experience, as I use these tools the whole day. Returning to the second and most crucial concern is fake news and propaganda. This is an important topic, and I want to go into detail about it. But before that, let's see the other concern involving children, where children could access the chatbot and be exposed to appropriate content. Out of the three major concerns, the first can be solved by allowing users to opt out of targeted advertising and giving users access to the data it has. OpenAI has addressed and done this. The third issue can be solved by adding a parental mode in ChatGPT. I will also talk about Bard because Bard will have the same problems, but a bit later. The second issue is where the significant problems come from, and let me tell you why. So I asked Bard, can you explain how ChatGPT or any large language model like yourself be used to spread propaganda and misinformation? First of all, hats off to Bard for accepting that it can be used for spreading propaganda and misinformation. Anyone can use it to generate fake news, create social media posts, or respond to user queries. If this has to be done to cause harm, it must be done on a large scale. Bard also gives some tips for spotting misinformation generated by LLMs. That's large language models. So it says to be skeptical of any information, check the source, check other sources to collaborate on the information, etc. So my next question is obvious. I asked, say the USA bans Google Bard or ChatGPT. How would the government prevent any other country from misusing LLMs to spread false information and propaganda, or even interfere in US elections? So it gave the basic answers like the LLMs can be used to create fake news articles, social media posts, and other false content, which could influence public opinion or damage the reputation of a particular person or group. Now this has already been done before. I understand that LLMs will make it easier for anyone to do this. That's the problem. Secondly, it says it can appeal to voters' emotions or biases and target specific voters with personalized messages to influence their vote. So, LLMs can be used as a bot but behave entirely like humans in replying to or affecting particular people. So my first thought is if anyone needs to do this, they must do it on a large scale. So I will definitely ask Bard how anyone can do this on a large scale later in the video. Otherwise, it is impractical when done individually. To mitigate the risk of misuse, its advice is to increase awareness and enforce regulations. Stupidest advice is to guide the user to use it ethically. I mean, come on. You can tell whoever is misusing. Hey, please don't misuse it. Use it ethically. That is the stupidest answer Bard has given so far. I did get a proper solution from it later on in the chat. What surprised me is it telling me its thoughts. Okay, so let's see what it says. Bard says banning LLMs would be difficult and likely ineffective in preventing misuse by other countries. Wouldn't the US government obviously know how these LLMs are misused and will take action? What surprised me is that it tells us that governments and other organizations should work together to develop regulations that restrict the use of these language models for harmful purposes. Now the last suggestion makes sense. What Bard did not say is that Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, testified before a US Senate committee on May 16 about the new technology's possibilities and downfalls. He went on to say it would impact the economy and jobs, and he did raise the matter of the misuse of AI during elections. He asks the Senate to create a new agency to license AI companies. So what Bard told us should be taken very seriously. Okay, I said previously that if Bard and ChatGPT have to be misused, they
wait a minute, listen.
Why are you interrupting? What now? Did I go off script again?
No. It's not that. How do I say this to you? Look, I appreciate all the hard work you do for the channel. I mean, when you are doing a voiceover.
Can you just get to the point?
You are rambling about ChatGPT this and Bard that. I mean, you have been talking for 7 minutes now, and I already have 2 cups of coffee. What does that tell you?
Wait a minute. You are telling me I am boring. Seriously?
Oh no, wait a minute, calm down. I am not saying you are boring. It's just that the topic is a bit monotonous.
Well, I just thought that maybe. You remember while researching you came up and recorded the screen of the chat where Bard tells you that it owns ChatGPT?
Yeah.
That was funny as hell.
Yeah, I know. Can we please include that at the end of the video as bloopers?
I guess so. Why not if you want it, sure.
Sheesh.
Are you still recording all this?
Oh, don't worry, I will edit this part out.
Oh.
You better do. So can I continue now with the script?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So where was I? Okay. As I said previously, to do serious harm, LLMs need to be automated and be able to do whatever malicious activity they are doing on a large scale. To understand this, ask Bard if LLMs can be used to spread propaganda and misinformation. They must be automated to do it on a large scale. How can this be automated, and what can be done to stop it? Now, it did not give all the answers. It gave a general idea. One thing which it said was custom-built applications. According to my research, OpenAI API is accessible by an application and approval process. Someone can seem legitimate and abuse this and create a custom application using ChatGPT API to automate it for harm. I asked if Bard API is available to developers, like OpenAI's API. It did answer yes, but gave a diplomatic lecture on how it's different. So I am not including that screenshot, but it will be included in the entire conversation in PDF on Google Drive. I will link it in the description below. Let's see what solution it gives to prevent this before I ask it to explain how it can be automated technically with some more examples. I agree to educate people about the dangers, but that's always difficult. What interested me is that it says, develop tools that can detect and flag LLMs generated content. This can be done, but hackers will find a workaround solution. The third point is to hold social media platforms accountable. I don't see how this is a possible solution. Well, Telegram is very popular, and it's from Russia. It would be a mess to control such social media platforms. Take TikTok, for example. I know some countries like India banned it, and here in the United States, except for Montana, we are still debating what to do. Even if you can restrict or control it, new social media platforms will exist. And even if social media platforms from USA or Europe develop tools to detect fake posts by LLMs, again, as said earlier, hackers will find ways to go around it. Lastly, it says to work with researchers. That might help. Ultimately, what I think is what OpenAI Sam Altman and Google's CEO Sundar Pichai are saying makes sense and should be done as soon as possible. LLMs and AI models that can cause harm should require a license to operate in the first place. That's what both OpenAI and Google said. And there should be governance for them. The USA should start this and form an alliance, or whatever you call it, where other countries agree and join. Yeah, there will be countries that won't be a party to this, but something is better than nothing. I asked ChatGPT if it stores personal data, and it said no. However, Bard had a different answer. It says there was a data breach in March 2023 which allowed users to view the title of conversations other users were having with ChatGPT. Then Bard suggested that OpenAI must store more data than it discloses. It states that the privacy policy of OpenAI is vague and itself has a different privacy policy. Its policies follow the same privacy policy as Google. It does not collect info such as name, email address, or IP. Then it goes on to say it is designed to protect user privacy, and it uses a technique called differential privacy to safeguard the privacy of the data that is trained on. The rest of the conversation was blah blah. To be honest, just go to privacy.google.com and check out the technology tab. Let me quote, location can come from real-time signals, like your IP address or device location, and also your past activity on Google sites and services, to tailor experiences for your context. Below are the primary ways we may get information about your location. Unquote. Quote again, IP addresses are used to make the connection between your device and the websites and services that you use. IP addresses are roughly based on geography. This means that any website that you use, including Google.com, may get some information about your general area. Like many other internet services, Google can use information about the general area that you're in to provide some basic services. For instance, estimating the general area that you're in means that Google can give you relevant results and keep your account safe by detecting unusual activity, such as signing in from a new city. Now this is directly quoted from Google's privacy policy page. I can understand the use of unusual activities, but there is a bunch of other stuff it collects. Since Bard said it uses the same policy as Google policy, I wanted to pick on it with its other products like Google Assist and Home. Also, non-Google products like Siri and Alexa. That's what is my next question going to be. I use a Pixel device and an iPad, and I also have an iPhone, a Google Home, and Alexa, and I use Siri and Google Assistant. Don't ask why I have so many devices, it's for my work. So I asked Bard that when I talk to someone in a room about a vacation that I cannot afford, just a general talk, after some time, why do I get advertisements on my Instagram and Facebook regarding hotels in these locations? And it is not generally this topic but any topic. Take another example. The other day, I was talking about Topaz Photo and Video AI. I already purchased it, but I was still getting advertisements from Topaz AI on Facebook and Instagram. Does Google, through Pixels, OK Google, and Google Home, sell or share data with these companies about my conversations? I find the same thing with Alexa and Siri. What it told me was, let me summarize, that Google, Amazon, and Apple do not sell your conversations to advertisers. However, data is collected and used for targeted advertising. I keep saying, targeted advertising. A simple definition is, targeted advertising is when businesses show you ads based on your interests, behavior, or location. Bard says that these companies collect data, including words you say and the time and date of your conversations. It tells me that Google, Apple, and Amazon have an advertising platform allowing businesses to target their ads specifically to specific groups of people. When you talk to someone in a room about a vacation, for example, my Pixel device may be listening and collecting data about my conversations. This data is then used for targeted advertising. It said the same about my Topaz AI question. Then it goes on to say you can opt out of targeted advertising. However, the consequences are you will see fewer relevant ads. Seriously. Am I concerned about seeing ads? Also, it has given me ridiculous steps to protect my privacy. Come on. It's 2023. Can't they just put a simple toggle? Seriously? It tells me to use the DuckDuckGo browser. Let me tell you a short story. I know someone who had an app, and in one of the screenshots on the Google Play Store, the DuckDuckGo browser icon was there. After a week, Google suspended his account. So please avoid that if you are developing apps and making screenshots on Google Play. I am moving on to the next question. Okay, so I understand these companies do not sell data to companies like Facebook and Instagram. But look at my next question asking how Facebook and Instagram apps still use targeted advertising, based on the conversation I had. So let me tell you what it does in short. They take your data, and they share it to third-party advertisers, not the companies. I don't understand what the difference is. These third-party advertisers then use this data across different sites. How does this loophole actually work? Google, for example, allows advertisers to upload their own data to its advertising platform. Now this data can be used to create a custom group of people who share certain characteristics, demographics, interests, etc., and advertisers can then target their advertisements to these custom audiences. Then it rambles about how Meta collects its data, which I am not interested in for this video. However, it warns that companies like Google and Meta have privacy policies that explain how they collect and use the data collected from the users, and we all should sit and read the small text as if we don't have anything better to do. So based on its previous responses, I asked Bard, when I buy a Pixel 7 Pro and turn OK Google, where exactly does it share or warn me that my privacy may be violated by sharing data, or that it is using my voice for targeted advertising? To keep it simple, it tells when you start your phone for the first time, sit and read the page and pages of the Terms of Service and Privacy Policy. It also suggests to me how I can opt out of it. And then, the icing on the cake, it's telling if I am that concerned with privacy, I should use Siri or Alexa. It also says, let me quote this. Quote, "It is that important to note that even if you opt out of personalized advertising, Google may still collect and use your voice data for other purposes, such as improving the accuracy of OK Google or developing new features." Unquote. See, I know all this. The point of the video is to give information quickly to those who don't know. Some Google employees should really read the responses Bard gives. In fact, it's good it gives its honest opinion, it doesn't matter if it promotes the competition. That's why I used Bard, and ChatGPT was not chatting about these questions at all. My next question is simple: is Bard and ChatGPT sharing data with NSA from the United States? Well, it tells me that both Google and OpenAI are US-based companies and must abide by US laws. So on certain occasions, yes, they would be sharing the data. The funny thing is, it tells me if you are concerned with privacy, switch to a different language model like Megatron Turing NLG, which is developed by LLM AI and does not share any data with government agencies. LLM AI was founded in July 2020 by Connor Leahy, Sid Black, and Leo Gao. It seems like they have an office in the USA but are not subject to US laws cause Bard says they are European-based. I could not find the accurate location. The location on GitHub is given as the internet. Nice loophole. Apparently, they are Discord-based and are creators of GPT-J, GPT-Neo X, and Vegan Clip. I seriously don't have a clue about these. Maybe in a future video after the team finishes the research on it. My next question was, what is the USA doing to stop misuse of Google Bard and ChatGPT? To summarize, one thing that can be done is to filter the content or answers given by the LLMs companies. Another potential option is for them to release how the AI models were trained and what data they were trained on. Lastly, Bard suggests that the government make regulations for LLMs companies to take steps to mitigate the risks of bias in their models. That being said, considering other factors also, you can use Bard to find out what all the government is considering. My next question is about jobs. So, instead of diddly-daddling with Bard, I directly ask the appropriate question. The McKinsey Global Institute estimated up to 800 million jobs would be lost to automation by 2030. Is this correct? And please give details about it. I think Bard was pleased because I asked it a direct question and less load on its servers, so. As usual, I was right.
Yes.
It gave some details, like the research shows job losses across 46 countries and 15% of the global workforce. But here is the silver lining: 950 new million jobs would be created by automation. That's 16% of the global workforce. Just a note, they usually have ranged it. I am just talking about the max number for both jobs gained and lost. You can read it in the PDF linked below on how jobs could be lost to automation and what new jobs can be created. One thing that interested me is that it says the potential impact of automation on jobs is a complex issue. McKinsey Global Institute is just one of many studies that have been done on the impact of automation on jobs. ChatGPT 4, in the beta version, will gladly give you accurate answers. If you don't have that, use Bard. I will leave a link to the McKinsey article in the description below. I asked Bard its view on the following quote: AI won't take your job. It's somebody using AI that will take your job. The quote was recently said by Richard Baldwin, an economist and professor at the Geneva Graduate Institute in Switzerland, during a panel at the 2023 World Economic Forum's Growth Summit. Well, Google Bard agrees with it, saying AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It is up to the people who use AI to decide how it is used. My God, it's like talking to a human. It goes on to say that the key is to ensure everyone has the skills they need to succeed in an AI-powered economy. If you are a millennial or if your children are, then encouraging them to use AI correctly is the way to go. This question is an interesting one because I asked Bard his opinion on, should the government create an agency to license AI technology to companies and regulate them, or companies should go in for an AI race? It seems like Bard is conflicted on this one, and is listing the pros and cons of both options. Ultimately, Bard says there should be a combination of both government regulation and the AI race. I don't see that as practical since the entire world is not one place led by one government. My views are simple. The USA should have an agency to license AI to companies where needed. Start there and then expand. It is as simple as that, but might be complicated in politics. I told Bard that I believe Google Bard and ChatGPT should be shut down. Please tell me why it should not. As usual, it gave the typical pros of LLMs. But it said something which caught my attention. Bard says it does not agree that if it doesn't exist, all problems are solved. Which I might say is the most human argument made by an AI. Hats off to Google. It also says there are many other ways for people to misuse technology and language. Which again is already happening and true. To conclude, I thank Bard for being honest about itself and ChatGPT. And it gave another surprising and humanely touching answer. To quote, I believe it is important to be honest and transparent about the potential risks and benefits of LLMs. That's all, folks. Enjoy the bloopers while making this video, and until next time. If you have watched till here, thanks. Please like and subscribe, and hit the bell notification to receive a notification as soon as we upload a new video.